Hey everybody, it's Flyin Ryan here with the review of the Parrot Swing. Now this is one of the coolest air RC vehicles that I've had in a long time. Big fan of this, had a ton of fun with it. If you saw my Parrot Rolling Spider review, I was less than positive about that. I didn't really like it that much. Well, Parrot has completely made up for that with this. This thing is just so cool. So a lot to cover here, so I'll try to get through it. First and foremost, this is what's called a VTOL, VTOL, which means vertical takeoff and landing, or like or quadcopter. So you've got this orientation here, so you've got these four motors and four props facing up, so that's like a quadcopter, so it can lift off and it can fly around just like a quadcopter, but then you can hit a button on the controller and it leans forward at 3 different angles, and now it can fly around like a plane like this. And so you can, fly around like a plane, hit a button, and transition it back to quadcopter mode, and then land like a quadcopter. So really cool, it works really well, it flies really well. It has all these same, ultrasonic and a camera and sensors and everything, barometer, all this stuff that the Rolling Spider had. So it's really super stable in a hover. It constantly takes pictures of the ground and compares those pictures so it can make adjustments based on that. So it holds its hover almost as if it has a GPS lock without using GPS. And it also holds its height. So once you stick it in a hover, you can set the controller down if you wanted to, and it's going to stay in that place pretty much perfectly, and it works really well. And even when it's flying, it uses altitude hold, so you don't have to constantly adjust the throttle. It stays at its height, and you can fly around with just the right stick, just telling it to go left and right, and it'll maintain the throttle and height and just stay at it. So it's super easy to fly, really precise and smooth, and just a big fan of it. It is, okay, so it does come with this new Parrot Fly Pad, so you can use it just like a normal controller, like a normal RC, or you can connect it to the app, and you can fly it with the app as well. So it has 2 different control options, or you can have it connected to the controller and the app at the same time. I'll show you on the box here. So now the app just gives you stuff like flight time and battery percentage, so you know when your battery's about to die. However, I found that the holder here is pretty small in its reach, so my iPhone 6s Plus does not fit in here with the case on it, so I've got to remove my case, and then it just barely fits, and it's kind of shallow and not too grippy. So even when I had the case removed and it fit in there, I found sometimes that my phone popped out, and so I get really nervous actually having my phone in this holder, because especially with no case on it, if I'm out flying over a concrete or something, it pops my phone out and it breaks my phone. So I'm not a big fan of this phone holder. I think it's a little bit worrying. I don't feel very confident using it. But you don't have to have it on. It just has this one screw here that you can easily remove it, and you don't have to have the app connected if you don't want to. But you can fly just with the app if you want to fly just by your phone and not have the controller with you. And the controller now also can be used with the other mini drones. So you can use this with the Rolling Spider now and fly it with an actual transmitter, which is one of the things that I discredited the Rolling Spider for, is because it was only app control. Well, now you can fly it with the transmitter. So stay tuned. I'm going to do another video where I fly the Rolling Spider with this transmitter, and we'll see how it flies with that. But anyway, that's another video. Oops, let's go ahead and just set that down, get it out of the way there. So it does come with a full set of spare props as well, and I have crashed this a few times and it seems plenty durable. I haven't broken a prop, and these wings are just foam, and I haven't even taken any nicks out of the wings or anything, so it seems quite durable. This is our battery here, which I don't know if it'll focus in. Up there in the top right corner, you can see 550 milliamp hour 1S LiPo, and we have a USB cable here, you have to have the battery in the swing to charge it, and then you connect this USB cable here in the back so it charges inside the RC. It doesn't have like a separate charger. I don't know if they may sell them separately, but at least with what comes in the box, you've got to charge through the RC. So that's a little bit disappointing because you can't, you can't have one that you're flying with while you charge another battery or whatever. You've got to use the model itself to charge as the charger. But anyway, that only takes about 23 minutes to charge, so it charges really fast, and you get about 7-minute long flights with a 20-second LVC warning. But the LVC warning is only through the app. The app will blink like red on the screen, low battery warning or whatever. But if you're flying with just the controller, you don't get any kind of LVC warning. Let's see. I guess we'll go ahead and cover the buttons. You can program the buttons via the app if you want, but there's not really that many different things you can do. So out of the box, first we've got the center button here is our takeoff and land. So since it uses height hold, you hit that button and it's going to take off a little bit, and then it'll hold its height there, and then you can use the throttle to raise or lower that height. But whenever you get it to the height you want, let the stick center itself, it's going to hold that height. When you're in quadcopter mode, it's just like a normal quad. You yaw left and right with the left stick, and then move forward and back, or left and right pitch with the right stick. Let's see. The right one bumper takes a picture, so you've got that downward facing camera that it uses for its position hold. You can take pictures through that, but it's really low quality and kind of silly because it's just looking down, or when you're flying around, it's kind of whatever it happens to be seen behind it. So kind of silly to take a picture, but they do give you the option. And then the left 2 and the right 2 triggers back here are what change the angle of it. So if you hit right 2, it's going to lean forward, and it's got 3 different angles of leaning, and then this white side here is the top basically. So you hit right 2, it's going to lean forward a little bit, so then it moves really slowly forward. You can hit it again, it's going to go a little bit more, and then you hit it again and you've got your most forward plane, and that's going to be your fastest, best for wind fighting, all that kind of stuff. And then L2 undoes that basically. So if you're at your full forward, if you hit L2, it's going to go back to the next lower position, hit it again, and the next lower position, hit it again, and it'll go back to quad mode. Or you can hit L1, and they call that stop. That's basically going to go, if you're say you're flying in forward full plane mode, if you hit that L1 button, it's going to immediately go to the quad mode and then start holding its position. So that's a good way if you're flying around and you just want it to stop. It doesn't do it instantly, but it does do a pretty good job of stopping and then just hovering in place, and then you can go back to flying as a quad or land it or whatever. You can continue to hit L2 and actually fly upside down like this if you wanted to for whatever reason, so it can pitch all the way to either side. I don't really know why you'd ever want to do that though. And then these buttons, I think they just do like quarter turns and stuff, so like instead of just doing your own yaw, you can make it where it does a quick half turn yaw or whatever with these different buttons, but there's not really that much it can do. It can't do flips or anything like that. Let's see, when you're flying in plane mode, it's basically like flying a 3-channel plane. So up and down on the right stick gives a little bit more pitch. So you use the triggers to set your angle for the most part, but say you're at this angle, if you press up, it's going to lean forward just a little bit more to give you more speed, or if you press down, it's going to lean down a little bit to slow it down. So you do have a little bit of control of your speed within each different angle. And then when you move left and right, that's going to pitch it to each side, so then you can turn. And you can use the left stick to turn left and right, and that kind of does like quarter turns. So instead of it doing left and right on the right stick is precise, do exactly what you want, the left stick kind of does like quarter turns, so you can kind of do like a pre-programmed corner turn or something like that. So a little bit awkward, but if you just fly it like a 3-channel plane, just use the right stick to kind of go forward and backward and do all your turning. And then, like I said, it uses height hold and all that, so you don't even have to manage the throttle at all. Super easy to fly. All right, let me look through my notes and see. Oh, when you're connected with the app, the LVC warning does actually do audio as well. It's not just words on the screen. It does make some audio alerts to let you know. The fly pad is rechargeable as well. It's got a USB charger in there, so you don't have to put batteries in it or anything. So that's nice and easy. You use the same USB cable to charge the fly pad as you do charge the battery for that. I haven't tested that fully, but they say it takes 2 hours to charge fully and gives you 6 hours of use time, so plenty long on the battery there. You can do firmware updates via the app, but it takes like 35 minutes to update through the app. It's got to download the file and then transfer it over Bluetooth to the device. But if you connect via the USB cable, if you connect it to your computer and go to their website and download the file, and then you can put it on the internal hard drive just like you would a USB drive or whatever. You put the firmware onto the drive and then disconnect it. It's much faster that way if you go through the computer. But you can do it through the app for convenience's sake, but it takes a really long time. I think that did finally cover all the details. Let me take one more look at my notes. Yep, that does it. So let's go take it out for a flight. Alright, this is the flight review of the Parrot Swing VTOL plane / quadcopter. Very cool. This is one of the coolest and most fun flying RCs I've tested in quite some time. And I'm using the fly pad, so I have an actual controller for it. But you can use your phone if you want. I do not have my phone connected because it falls out of the mount sometimes and I've got to take my case off and I don't want to risk breaking it out here on the ground, so not using my phone for this one. But the phone just shows like flight time and battery life remaining and stuff like that when you're connected with the controller. There's not much purpose to have the phone on when you're using the controller anyway. But yeah, lots to show, so we'll get started. First, I just press this bottom center button here to take off, and it's gonna take off into quad mode, and it's just gonna hover there, and it hovers really nice and stable by using all these sensors to hold its position. So it's almost like it has a GPS lock. So I mean, you can see even with the breeze, it's holding its position quite well, and I'm not doing a single thing. And so you can use the throttle to give altitude or yaw around just like a quadcopter. See how the white is kind of like is the top of it, so I'm pressing up and that's moving forward. So right now I'm just flying it around like a quadcopter basically. They're just trying to fly full into the wind there. It can't quite fight the wind. So yeah, you can fly it around just like a quad if you want, which is what I'm doing now. And then when I stop, it'll just go back to a hover. And you can press the right 1 button. Let's get some height. And I'll try to get under it here, and right 1 button. Let's see if that got a decent picture. It takes a picture from the downward facing camera, which is what it uses for its positioning. So it's not a very good picture, but you can take pictures. Alright, so now if I go ahead and if I hit the right 1 button, as you see there, it started to lean forward a little bit, so now it's in plane mode. So it has a little bit of a lean forward, and it's just flying forward on its own. And then I can use the right stick, kind of like a 3-channel plane. I just control left and right turn, and then I can press up and down to give it a little bit more pitch. So if I press up, it's going to lean forward a little bit and move a little bit faster. If I press down, it leans down a bit and slows down. So you can fly in this really high alpha mode here, so it gives you nice slow forward flight and very easy to control, and it just uses altitude hold. So it's like I'm not doing anything with the throttle, I'm just entirely right stick and it manages the height on its own. But you can raise the throttle and give it more height and then fly around at a higher altitude. And if you use the right or the left stick to turn, it does like quarter turns. So if you just tap it right, it does like a quarter turn to the right. But if I use the right stick to turn, it just does whatever I tell it to. So pretty cool. And now if I hit the right 2 button again, it'll lean forward a little bit more. So now I've got a little bit faster forward flight, a little bit more wind fighting. And if I press it one more time, now that's as far forward as it leans. So this is full speed, full wind fighting ability, full plane mode. So now it just flies around like a plane, and again, it's holding its altitude entirely on its own. I'm not doing anything with the throttle, I'm just flying around with the right stick. And I can press up to lean forward a little bit, and it'll fly into the wind a little bit better. So I'm holding up right now to fly as fast as it can. So not a fast flyer, but it is super smooth and easy and stable, really nice flying little thing. I mean, even in this wind, it's holding its height and position quite well. Very manageable. And so now while I'm flying around like this, if I hit the left 1 button, it stops and it goes into quadcopter mode, and then it'll hold its position. So it's like you throw on the brakes real quick. And then I can hit the right 2 again to lean forward. Oh, and if I hit left 2, that changes the pitches back. So I hit right 1 to lean forward 1, hit left 2, and it'll lean back 1. So you can adjust your different pitches with the right and left 2 buttons. But if you hit the left 1, it just immediately goes back to quadcopter mode. So that's pretty cool. And now I'm in quad mode again, so not as much wind fighting because it doesn't have as much forward lean, so that's full forward into the wind right now. But if I go into plane mode and give it more lean, it can fight the wind much better. Let's try to get it flying away from me a bit and take a picture and see how that turns out. And picture. It's kind of weird trying to take pictures with this thing, especially since you don't really know what the camera's looking at. Alright, so let's go ahead and hit L1 to go back into quad mode. Drop the throttle a little bit to lose height. And then if I hit this takeoff and landing button again, it'll just go ahead and land itself and shut down the motors. So pretty neat thing there. Let's go ahead and take off a little bit too. With the app, you can program all your buttons, but by default, like in quad mode, these A and B buttons, well, actually it looks like they're not doing anything right now. I thought I had them. Huh, I don't know why they're not doing anything. Well, that's interesting. Those were set to like just do like quarter turns, so like you'd hit the B button and it would just turn a quarter turn sideways or whatever. Maybe you've got to have the app connected for those buttons to work or something, but kind of pointless though. There's not, you can't do like flips or stunts or anything, so the buttons just give you, quarter turn, half turn, stuff like that. But yeah, I think that was really all there is to show. So go ahead and hit that landing button again and take her down. And that's that. Pretty cool model, man. This thing is fun, easy to fly, gives you lots of options for, flying in a smaller area or flying fast if you want. Flying a quad, you can hover it in the house even. So pretty neat model. I like it a lot. This is the Parrot Swing, and check the video description for a price and purchase link. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.